My friend, you are in for such a treat because in this episode, we're talking about your metabolism. If you have spent years restricting, tracking, cutting carbs, pushing through your hunger, over exercising, then your body starts to not function as optimally or as effectively as it could be and as it's meant to. And something that I hear a lot is from women who have been dieting for so long that they start to feel like, have I permanently wrecked my metabolism? Like, is there a point of no return? And we're going to be answering that question in this episode. It's such a good episode. We are joined by Ashley Fillmore. She is a professional nutrition coach, health educator, certified personal trainer with nearly 20 years of experience helping women heal their metabolism, balance their hormones, and achieve body composition changes that last a lifetime. So in this episode, you're going to learn about metabolic adaptation. We're going to talk about why chronic restriction downregulates your metabolism, the difference between intentional healing and chaotic rebound eating. You're also going to discover signs that your metabolism might need support. And then the question that everyone is afraid to ask, is it repairable? So we are going to touch all of that and more in this episode. It is so good. So without further ado, let's have our conversation with Ashley Fillmore. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. All right, Ashley, I am so excited to talk all about our metabolism and how we can heal and really work with our metabolism so that we can feel our best, especially when someone has been years and years in of restricting and dieting. So this is really, really needed. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you for having me on your show. This is something I'm so passionate about helping women with. My company, Metabolic Fix, literally in the name of my company, I specialize in helping women heal their metabolism and support and optimize their hormonal health to truly feel like the best version of themselves.
Beautiful. So we're going to jump right in. And can you just kind of talk about what is actually happening to someone's metabolism after years of restriction and dieting?
Yeah, I want to start with, I really wish, which will never be the case, that the dieting industry would give us disclaimers. And before, we get all of these disclaimers when we take medication, when we have, there's many things. I'm like, oh, there's this disclaimer there. But with dieting, we never see that. And the big disclaimer should say, you will end up having potentially disordered eating habits and eating disorder and metabolic damage, which I also call metabolic adaptation, from prolonged dieting. And I think a lot of women go into that diet or that program and they want to feel good. That's the driving force behind all of this, is wanting to feel good. We just don't feel good. Mm-hmm. And our culture has really shaped us to believe that if we want to feel better, it's usually going to equal doing a diet, restricting a lot. Actually, the more you restrict, the better. Mm-hmm. And all along, you're thinking that you're doing what you need to do to support your body, but actually you're doing exactly the opposite. You're not supporting your body. Behind the scenes, you are definitely impacting your metabolic health, which is also tied to your hormonal health. And so when you have been chronically dieting for years, your metabolism is going to start to downregulate. And unfortunately, the more you have dieted and the longer, the worse it can truly be. So for example, if you come into my community and you only dieted for 3 or 6 months or maybe a year, dabbling in it, preparing for a wedding or a big event, or maybe you just want to feel better, that journey is going to look a lot different from someone that's been dieting off and on for 5, 10, 15 years, losing and regaining weight. It's going to look a lot different. And so I think when we start these programs, we're not thinking about the long-term consequences that diet will have on our metabolism. And then what does that mean when we end up with metabolic damage?
So you said your metabolism is going to start to downregulate. For anyone who has never heard those terms before, can we explain it in really simple ways?
Right. I love that because I do think sometimes it can be so overcomplicated. You have no idea what these words even mean. So, when your metabolism downregulates, that simply means your body is burning fewer calories at rest than it should. So, we all have a basal metabolic rate, also referred to as your BMR, basal metabolic rate. That's how many calories our bodies need to sustain life. Basic breathing, organ function. You get where I'm going with this, just base level. No exercise or daily activity would be included in this equation. When you have metabolic damage, let's just say, for example, I'm making up this number, my BMR is 1350. So meaning I need to eat a minimum of 1,350 calories for my body to just function on a base level. If I was dieting for years, my basal metabolic rate will start to drop down because my body is going to be more in conserving energy. And so it's going to sense the fact that I am not fueling myself enough, and it is going to start to conserve energy. So a couple of things happen. To do that, our body is going to say, hey, you have all this extra muscle mass, which is very metabolically active tissue. Muscle mass is needy. It's really demanding. It's going to require and request a lot from your body in the form of calories. We're going to let this muscle go. So we're going to hold on to this subcutaneous fat because, speaking of energy, it takes very little energy to sustain, but we're going to let go of this muscle mass. So guess what happens? When that happens, that BMR goes down more. And so on paper, your BMR is 1350, but in reality, from years of dieting, your fat loss hormones in your body hormonally starts to look different. Your muscle mass decreases. Maybe it's actually 1100 or something even lower. So that is what I mean by metabolic adaptation. We have a set BMR, and when we are dieting and restricting and trying to, again, do everything the right way, it's actually setting us up for long-term challenges because our metabolism will then downregulate, conserve that energy by getting rid of muscle, breaking muscle tissue down for energy, which is going to equal you having a lower metabolic rate. And that's what I mean by metabolic adaptation, put in a simple way, or as simple as I can break it down.
No, I'm so glad that you broke it down in that way. And so basically what I'm hearing is someone decides, okay, you know what? I want to lose weight. I'm going to go on this diet. I'm going to start eating. I'm going to even take my own personal example. I was like, I'm going to start eating 1,500 calories. And on top of that, I'm also going to go to the gym for an hour and a half a day. And so you're eating less and less, and you're going into this restriction, and your body, as a way to try to survive, this is an adaptive mechanism, is saying, okay, we are not getting as much as we need right now. And so what we're going to do is we're going to slow things down, and we're going to start to tap into your muscle stores because they need a lot of calories in order to function and survive. So we're going to start using some of that. And we're also going to hold on to some fat storage in case that we don't have any food available to us. We're going to hold on to that. And so all of these things that we feel like we're doing as a way to serve our body and feel good are slowly slowing things down within us.
Exactly. And also, we may not be aware of this, but when you are experiencing this, you will notice that usually your overall energy starts to decrease as well. So, as your body's going through this process and essentially trying to protect you, because that's the end result to sustain and maintain homeostasis, which is just keeping everything functioning on a base level at, a normal level for your body, At this point, you will also maybe not even necessarily be aware of it in the moment, but your daily activity, your desire to move, you may feel more tired. You may feel like you need to sleep more, or sitting on the couch sounds really good after you've worked, and going on a walk doesn't sound so great anymore because you're tired. And it could be these subtle choices we're making, like, oh, instead of going on a walk or doing the laundry or cleaning my house, I feel tired. So I'm going to go lay down, or I'm going to watch this show, or I'm going to scroll on my phone. And you don't really connect the dots that, oh, is this also potentially related to the fact that I'm not eating enough? My body's not, consuming enough to even function on a base level. I'm over exercising. I'm doing all of these things that's putting my metabolism and body in a very jeopardized state to function at an optimal level.
Mm. Is there any other signs that you can share of your metabolism not functioning as optimally as it could be?
Yeah, there's actually a few. So, one I just mentioned, a great one, your energy drops down. It can be subtle, meaning it may not be something where you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I used to do all of these things and now I'm not doing any of them. It could be something as simple as, when you have some free time in your calendar, do you find yourself saying, oh, I'm so tired. I just don't have the energy to go on a walk, or I really know I need to clean my house or do some yard work, but I'm just not really feeling up for it right now. That's a sign. And it can be very subtle, or maybe doing that workout takes all of the energy you have. A lot of my clients will say that too. They're like, well, I'm getting my workouts in, I'm going to the gym and I'm doing that. But afterwards, they're so exhausted, they can't do anything else. It's like it used up everything that they had for the day. Noticing differences in your menstrual cycle is huge. So when your body's not getting enough fuel, not getting enough baseline calories, carbohydrates, healthy fats, and proteins, a lot of times as a woman, especially if you're within the age where you should still be menstruating, your periods may become a little irregular. You may skip a month, or if you're usually cycling every 28 days, it may be 35 to 40 days. Maybe you haven't had a period in longer than that. Some of the women coming into my community haven't had a cycle for a year or two.
I'm raising my hand at that for
Yeah.
those who can't see. That was me. Yeah.
Yeah. So that can be a huge thing for a lot of women. You will also maybe start to notice that your appetite has down regulated. So your body, again, as we went through and just talked about what metabolic adaptation looks like and down regulation, well, your appetite can start to match that as well. So maybe you used to feel hungry all the time and you ignored your body's signaling and you just overrode that with willpower and you chose to not eat because you were on that diet. Well, eventually your body is going to adapt. And you will notice that your appetite starts to drop as well. So a lot of women will come into my community barely eating and say they're never hungry.
Mm-hmm.
I want to emphasize this. Feeling like you're never hungry is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. But our culture has primed our brain to believe that, oh, I'm never hungry. This is a really great thing. No, it is a bad thing. So, one of the biggest red flags for me is when women come to my community, they're barely eating and they're never hungry. Eating
Mm-hmm.
2 meals a day feels like a full time job. So
Yeah.
never being hungry is big. That's a huge sign as well. Or maybe you go on a vacation. Maybe you loose a little bit and give yourself a little more freedom with your nutrition. But suddenly, when you do, you feel uncomfortable. Your clothes aren't fitting well. You feel bloated. You just can feel that your body is not responding well. That's another sign, because your body is not it cannot sufficiently handle those calories well anymore. So there's
Mm.
a lot of different signs, but those are some of the biggest signs. Lastly, let's say you're working out in the gym and you're lifting weights 3 to 5 days per week. If you're not building muscle and getting stronger, that's also another sign. So usually with my clientele, it's not just one sign, it's multiple. All of the examples I just gave, they're checking off many of those.
Oh my God. I wish if we were having this conversation like maybe 10 years ago, I would have been like, check, no period, check. I'm working out like crazy and not building muscle, check. I'm never hungry. And it's funny, one of the things that I really relate back to now that I really can feel like my metabolism is working very efficiently is I actually need a lot of food. Like I eat a lot and I know that like I'm building muscle and that's how I know that I'm working well. My body is being fed and it's using those calories well. And so I'm really glad that we talked about all those things because I think that they are so normalized and we don't talk, especially the muscle one of like, okay, you're working out, you're lifting weights, like why are we not building muscle? So like such an important conversation to be having. And one of the things I would love to talk about next is okay, so what happens once you've started restricting and then your metabolism downregulates and then you hit that breaking point, which is the end of the diet, and then that typically rebounds the other direction. What happens to your metabolism then?
So when you start to rebound
Yes.
and heal your
So when,
metabolism,
yeah, so when you start, okay, now I can't stick to it any longer, you start eating more, maybe you start binge eating, and all of these things that you were doing, like you were in the restricting, now you have swung to the other direction.
mhm. So when you swing to the other direction without intention and strategy, it can feel really uncomfortable. And a lot of times women will come to me, maybe having done that on their own. I do personally work my clients very customized, but through a very intentional and strategic way to heal their metabolism to prevent this. But let's say, like the example you gave, Sabrina, you are dieting, you're doing all the things, you're restricting, you hit your breaking point. By the way, we are all going to hit our breaking point at some point. The willpower is going to give out. We aren't going to be able to stay in that state forever. Diets should never be permanent, although we're trying to live there permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of women think they have to continue to do that. So when you say, you know what, this is enough. I am done. I am just going to eat whatever I want. All of the foods that you probably avoided, you're now having. For a lot of women, when there isn't a strategy and intention behind how they strategically go about eating more, sometimes they will start to feel very uncomfortable in their skin initially. But it doesn't have to be this way. So if you're hearing this right now and you're feeling discouraged, don't, because with the appropriate strategy and plan, you can actually navigate this feeling really good. And I want to actually share at the very end some of the benefits you will start to notice when you heal your metabolism. But when you are going through this on your own, and maybe you're just thinking, I'm going to eat more. And, even similar to my own dieting story, I just ate all the things that, sounded great to me. So pizza, ice cream, those types of things, not necessarily the healthy foods that's helping me feel great. Not saying that pizza's bad because it's not, but the way that my relationship with food then period wasn't healthy.
Yeah,
And the
it's
way that,
chaotic. It's
yeah,
unintentional when
yes.
you're going
And
through that.
right. And I felt like the food had control over me versus me
Yes.
having control over the food. There wasn't intention. That was just kind of coping and trying to survive. And that was my way of just, almost like, beating myself up for the diet. Like now I can have all these
Yeah, it's
things.
the rebellion.
Yes, the
Yeah.
rebelling, exactly. And so if you are doing that, you can feel uncomfortable. You may notice that, you're feeling pretty comfortable in your skin, but then you start eating more and you're rebelling and your body comp changes in an unfavorable way. So you don't like the way your clothes are fitting. You don't like the way you're feeling. You're feeling lethargic. You're feeling really tired. You're feeling like your blood sugar is up and down and, swinging. Those are some of the consequences when you don't have intention. So my one recommendation to anyone listening is truly having a customized approach designed to support you to ensure that you're navigating what we're referring to as healing metabolic damage in a healthy and sustainable way. And you're not rushing the process. A lot of women unintentionally are trying to rush the process because they were so restrictive. They just swing to the opposite end of restriction, which is binging. And unfortunately, although maybe you're eating more, which is actually a great thing, the way that you're going about doing it isn't helping you feel like the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you go about this with intention, with strategy, with a really customized approach, having a healthy metabolism is amazing.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of what I mentioned at first being some of the signs of metabolic damage, well, guess what? The opposite is true when your metabolism is healthy. Your hormones are more optimized. Your periods can return or become more regular. I see that all the time. You start building muscle from all of the work that you're putting into the gym. So yeah, you're going, 3, 5 times a week and you start to notice your body changing. Your clothes are fitting good. Your energy's great. You can keep up with the kids, work your job, do what you need to do. And you feel like, hey, overall, my energy is really great. You're sleeping well. Your libido is good. That also goes down as well because, again, your body's conserving. It's not wanting to reproduce. Depending on your sex hormones, as we mentioned, your cycle, you may start to notice your sex hormones are dropping down, which is why your cycles are becoming irregular, your progesterone, your estrogen, and your digestion's better. That's another perk is a lot of women will say, I just, everything is so sluggish. I'm not, using the bathroom regular anymore. Well, your digestion, actually a sign of a healthy metabolism is having at least one bowel movement every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what happens when you have intention, strategy, and customization behind healing your metabolism versus just saying, I'm just going to eat more and that's going to be the way that I'm going to go about fixing this on my own.
Yeah. So let's talk about something that I see a lot, which is most people don't just have 1 year of yo-yo dieting under their belt, right? They've got many, many, many years. And let's say that you have been kind of in this yo-yo cycle for decades, 20 years, 30 years, and you start thinking, oh my God, have I messed up my metabolism so badly? Have I wrecked it to a point that it cannot be repaired? Like you are feeling like if I don't continue to diet, if I don't continue to restrict, the second I kind of loosen up or let go, I am going to balloon up and gain a bunch of weight. And so, is there such a thing as your metabolism being so wrecked beyond repair?
No, there's not. So if you're listening to this, please don't feel discouraged or feel like you're broken. You are not broken. Women come to me every day and they feel like they are broken. I am literally the last resort because nothing has worked and they have dieted for years. Is there work to be done? Yes, there is work to be done. How long will it take for you to heal your metabolism? It varies. It really depends on your dieting history, your relationship with food, your ability to implement strategies through the coaching program and, communicate when things aren't working well. There's so many factors that will come into play for how long it will take for you to heal your metabolism, but it's definitely possible and it's not going to take years and years and years. For example, I was a chronic dieter. I was working out 6 to 7 days per week, twice a day. And in my early 20s, I had a hormone profile of a perimenopausal woman. I had no estrogen, no progesterone, no testosterone, literally zero. I had no cycle. I starved my body. I would eat 1,200 calories, 1,500 calories. I should have been eating double that at a bare minimum. I was obsessed, restricting, binging while I was actively a personal trainer and a nutrition coach in person. So I had to put on this hat and hide it from everyone, which actually fueled my disordered eating habits and relationship with food. All of that being said, when I doubled down and what I now call the 3 R's at Metabolic Fix: repair, rebuild, and results. When I worked myself through those 3 phases, it took me about a year. It took a little longer for my periods to return though. So I don't want anyone to listen and be like, oh my gosh, in a year I could be healed.
Mm-hmm.
No, it took a little longer for the hormones to return. And, your hormones are never going to be perfectly balanced. They're just going to be more optimize them so they're functioning at healthy levels for your body. So you feel great, have normal cycles and all of that. But for me to truly get my metabolism healthy, when I doubled down and focused and dedicated all my time and energy to, I am going to make choices with my nutrition and my lifestyle that support healing my metabolism. For me, within a year, I noticed big improvements. I started to build muscle. I started to gain, the muscle definition started to be visible. My digestion improved, my hair, my skin, my nails, my energy, all of those things that truly define how we feel every single day started to get better. And
Yeah.
that's when I was like, this is it. This is it. I will never go back to doing the things that I used to do because although I thought that's what I needed to feel great, it actually did everything but help me feel great.
Mm. I am so glad you said that. And I'm sure for those people, it feels like such a sigh of relief of like, okay, I'm not too far gone, right? Like I haven't quote unquote wrecked myself beyond repair. And I think it's important that you're mentioning, like, yeah, it's going to take some time. It might take a year for you to start feeling back to normal. And that's okay. Like it is worth putting in that time and having that patience. And I'm sure as you're going through it, like I remember when I started eating more and working out less and really caring for my body, every week you start feeling a little bit better and a little bit better. And that's what keeps you going. And that's what gives you the patience to keep going. And let's say that we are now talking to those women who are like, okay, I feel like I have wrecked my metabolism. I understand that there's hope. I understand that it may take some time. And I also no longer want to diet anymore because I know it's only going to make things worse. I know that personalization is a really important piece. But to those people who are more in that restriction and who want to start eating more and working with their body more and not over exercising, not killing themselves in the process, like, what are some things that you can progressively start working on or changing in your life in order to give your metabolism some love?
Yeah. So I love this question. And this is exactly what we do in the repair phase and the rebuild phase within my program. And so number one is you got to start eating and you don't have to track and you don't have to count your calories. There's ways to do this without doing those things. If you're trying really hard to build a healthier relationship with food that's not revolved around calculators and all of that, I totally understand, but you have to start eating. And so one of the things I recommend to my clients is start with 3 meals a day. And that can be step one. Now, to some of you, maybe you're already eating 3 meals a day and you're like, well, I already eat 3 meals a day. But I will say for some of the women that's coming into my program that's been chronically dieting for years, they're not eating 3 full meals a day. They're fasting until noon. They're eating 1 or 2 times. And it's even questionable if their 2 eggs and, a green smoothie would even count as a meal.
Yeah, it's more
Right.
of a snack.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, no, that's actually a snack you're having. That's not a meal, but okay. So, number one, let's start with 3 meals a day. If you're doing that, well, let's make sure that those 3 meals a day, you're eating a protein, you're eating some healthy fat, you're eating some carbs. And obviously, you're balancing your meals. A lot of times when you come from a disordered eating background, you've restricted calories, but you've also potentially restricted food groups. So we eat all food groups here at Metabolic Fix. We have carbohydrates, we eat proteins, we eat healthy fats. Carbs are not bad. They're great for you. You need them, and you definitely need them if you want to heal your metabolism, especially if you were listening in and thinking, oh, my cycles are irregular. You need your carbohydrates.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure you're consuming those. So start with 3 meals and balancing those meals with protein, carbs, and fats. So if you've been restricting food groups, please add them back in. They're going to only support your body, your metabolism, and all of your goals and your hormones. So I would do that. Step two, let's go ahead and add in some snacks because chances are, unless you're eating huge meals, and I'm going to say you're probably not if you have a big dieting history, let's put in a couple snacks. Snacks are a great way to keep your blood sugar stable. So we want your blood sugar and your insulin levels to be stable. That's also going to give your body a sense of safety. When our blood sugar starts to drop and we get hypoglycemic, for example, our body is not safe. It actually turns on our nervous system to say, whoa, we need some fuel right now. And you may find yourself craving sugar, quick digesting carbohydrates, things like that. And again, that's your body trying to maintain homeostasis. So those snacks can help regulate your blood sugar, which is going to support your energy, your cravings, reduce your cravings, and you're going to feel really in control of what you're consuming. And that's empowering to say, hey, I'm not eating in a state of feeling like my blood sugar's down and I'm desperately needing something in this moment. Give me whatever's in front of me. It's more, hey, I'm having this snack that really aligns with my goals right now. So have your two snacks. If you're doing that, you are going to notice that your energy is going to start to improve. You're going to start to see improvements in the gym, your digestion, your hormones, everything's going to improve. And you don't have to even track to do it. But balancing out your meals is essential. Making sure you're getting all three food groups, carbs, fats, and proteins, adding in your snacks. If you have a dieting history and you do believe that you have metabolic adaptation, having a meal or snack every 3 to 4 hours is a great little check-in with yourself to say, hey, have I had anything? Sometimes being a dieter, you actually feel like it's a badge of honor to go all day without eating. I remember I would try to fast until 12 or 1. And if I hit that mark, man, I felt like I was on top of the world. If I didn't, that was a whole nother story. But you actually want to do the opposite. So I had to set a reminder on my phone to make sure that I was eating. And I tell my clients to do that now. It's like, oh, I'm not hungry all day. Remember, not being hungry is not a good thing. So you need to rewire your brain. It's something to investigate. If you're not feeling hungry, why? What's going on? We need to sort through this. If you are a active woman, exercising, moving your body every day, you should be looking forward to your meals. That's actually a sign of a very healthy metabolism. So set a reminder on your phone to make sure that you are eating your meals. And then I think supporting your body with movement, like strength training, is such a great tool that will also help you boost your metabolism. Because remember, muscle mass is metabolically active tissue, meaning it's going to demand more nutrients to sustain. And so you will notice as you build muscle, your appetite is going to go up too, which is a great thing. So strength training, and I usually recommend 3 times per week. You could do strength training at home, in the gym, but really just focusing on building that strong foundation. Those are some actions that you can take. But I want to also emphasize this. Please don't add on a bunch of exercise if you're not fueling your body correctly, because instead of supporting your metabolism, it's going to actually add to that metabolic damage and make it even worse. So if you're under fueling, adding on exercise isn't going to serve you well. So fuel first, strength train second.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I was actually going to come back and be like, we got to make sure that we are not putting too much exercise on the plate, especially like I know that I actually had to tone down a lot on the cardio. I was like, I would have the TV on and I would run on the spot just to try to burn calories. And so like, I know that I actually had to turn it down, and rest days became really, really productive for my body, for it to rest and restore. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. And second piece that I wanted to say, I had heard this a couple of years ago, and it might be really helpful for you guys who are listening, because when you are so used to thinking the less I eat, the better, then to reframe the way that you see food can be really helpful. And I had heard this analogy of like your metabolism is a fire. And if you don't give it enough logs, if you don't give it enough so that that fire can spark and that fire can burn, then it's just going to die out. And so looking at giving yourself fuel, giving yourself those logs of wood so that your metabolism can be active and can use that for good.
Yes, I love that advice. And I think it's so important to understand that. And I will also say that when a woman comes into my community and we have identified metabolic damage, no cardio is allowed outside of walking.
Mhm.
Walking, if you want to walk at a leisure pace, not on an incline with a weighted vest and turning it into a cardio session, like true leisure walking. And usually I even give heart recommended like ranges to keep your heart rate within to ensure that they're not abusing that and turning. Because I have had clients say, "Oh, I'm walking." And I'm like, "Okay, great. Tell me about it." "Oh, well, I'm on a 12 or 15% incline walking at 3.5 miles per hour, and I have a 20-pound weighted vest." I'm like, "Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. Oh, my heart
Yeah.
rate's 150 the whole time." Like, that's essentially cardio. So,
Mhm.
no, you actually don't want to do that extra cardio because it is stressing your system even more, metabolically and hormonally speaking. So, fueling your body first and foremost is the foundation. Second to that is strength training, not fat burning hit workouts, Orange Theory. I'm talking traditional strength training. Maybe you don't even break a sweat, which
Yeah.
could be new if you are used to doing a lot of cardio, and leisure walking, walking outside if you can, or if you're on a treadmill or a walking pad, no incline, your heart rate's not elevated. You could have a full phone conversation with your friend and they wouldn't even know what you were doing. That's a good test if you don't have a heart rate monitor. And then that is really the foundation. You're not doing cardio and all of these other things. Or I'll even have women hold on to the fact that I say strength training. They're like, "Okay, I'm going to start strength training," like you said, but they're still under eating. And that actually makes things worse, not
Mhm.
better.
Wow, so good. And I want to just make sure that I say to everyone who's listening, because I can put myself back to where I was before I started eating more and exercising less. And it's normal if there's some fear around it. It's normal if your brain is going to, "Oh my God, I'm going to eat more and I'm going to move less. I'm going to gain so much weight." And I don't know if you see this with your clients, but there was a period of getting used to this new lifestyle for me. And there was a period where I needed to adapt. And it's only once I really like got to a point where my body felt safe and it was getting consistent nourishment and I was resting and I wasn't over exercising that I started to see like, whoa, I can eat more and move more effectively, not move more, but move more effectively and actually move less, that I am more muscular. I feel better. I can eat more. Like everything is just working so much better. And so, do you feel like there is this, like, almost like a messy middle before you start to get that evidence of, like, oh, I see what people are talking about?
100%. I know for myself, and I'll even say with all of the women I've helped over my 20 years of doing this, there is this period where you're terrified. I cried. I was devastated, like so afraid. The fear of the unknown is actually what kept me stuck with dieting for years.
Hmm.
I was more fearful of the unknown that I was willing to suffer and be miserable with what I was currently doing, which was
Hmm.
not serving me. There was a huge, very long, I'd say 6, 12 month period where I was fully aware that the way I was treating my body wasn't acceptable. But coming to terms with that and going into the unknown of eating more and exercising less, I actually had to quit working out altogether for a couple of months, was so terrifying. I would rather be unhealthy and not feel great doing what I was doing. But
Hmm.
we all hit our points where that's not okay anymore. And I hit my breaking point, as we all do. And yes, it was terrifying. And for many of the women, it's terrifying. Their whole life, they've been told they need to eat less, they need to move more. And now suddenly I'm coming in saying, you need to exercise less, you need to cut out your cardio, you need to only walk, but you can't even walk on an incline or any of that. And oh, you also need to eat a lot more. So now, and not only that, you do need to add back in carbs and, you need to eat fats. Fats are good for you. It's like, whoa, there's so many beliefs that we have to break through and misinformation. It's very uncomfortable, but I will say stick with it. Discomfort isn't always bad. I think that discomfort is an emotion that we've always associated with being a very bad feeling that we want to run away from.
Yep.
But I will actually say in my life, the things that have created the most discomfort has actually ended up giving me the most reward,
Yeah.
because that's where the work needs to be done. And so there's been a lot of things in my life I've been through, but thinking back to my own journey and thinking about my clients that are even actively going through it now, they are so uncomfortable. But you have to remind yourself, and you have to remember that you are doing this for a reason. And once you get to the other side, it is so much better. And you're going to start thinking, like, I have women, and I know with myself too, when I think back to how little I used to eat and how much I used to overexercise, I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah.
Instead of thinking like, how do I eat more? How do I exercise less? Now I'm like, I have no idea how I did that. I have no idea how I survived off of fumes every day. I
Yeah.
have no idea how I like spent that much time exercising. And, just thinking back, I have a lot of empathy for that version of myself, because she was confused. She was scared. She was just trying to do what she thought she needed to do. And now I know better. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other women get there, get to the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad we had this conversation. And for anyone, Ashley, who would like to connect with you, work with you, find you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm hanging out on Instagram, Ashley_Fillmore, Fillmore 1. And I also have a podcast, Cheers to Your Success. I love showing up there weekly and educating my community on all the things that we talked about today. And my passion is to truly help women feel their best and feel confident and have knowledge to make really great decisions that's going to help them show up well in the world. And then you can always find me on my website at metabolicfix.com.
Amazing. I'm going to put that all in the show notes because I don't know about you, but I have such a bad memory. So we're going to have that all in the show notes. But thank you so much for being here. And for all of you guys who are listening, if there is something that you really took away from this episode, go find Ashley on Instagram, send her a message, let her know you heard her on this podcast and what your biggest takeaway was. Yeah, this was so fun. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.